Oh, yes, boys. The Ashes are here. We are live following the first session of day 3 from Edgbaston. Pretty evenly poised games so far. NRL State of Origin Game 2, only 3 sleeps away. Some controversial picks from Freddie Fittler. In particular, we'll talk all things rugby league. Into some AFL. Port have won 11 in a row. But don't let that distract you from the biggest story of the week, that the Blue Baggers are back in the winner's circle. NBA, Denver did get the job done. They were up 3-1. They get the gentleman's sweep even. They were up 3-1 last potty. Joker didn't seem all that thrilled about it. Did see him turning up a little bit in Vegas. Speaking of turning up, few soccer boys had a good time during the week at Jack Grealish. We've got some soccer. We've got a little bit of NFL training camps just around the corner. And a final round featuring Tsyzu, Jared Cannonier, Canadian F1 and US Open. We do have timestamps on YouTube. You can skip to the sports that you like. If you're a complete nuffy, just watch the whole damn thing. Check us out on the socials, etc., etc. Boys, we like to shout a beer to start off the show. Shauno, who you got? Going to be an expensive one this week.
Yes. Ooh, was that floating? Ooh.
Yeah, just excuse us in this show if there's a ooh or ah or bullshit because we are watching the cricket live.
A little bit of Ashes in the background.
Shauno, who would you like to shout a beer?
Going with the Golden Knights, Las Vegas Golden Knights, that is. They did win the Stanley Cup. They got that through the week. They're first after 6 years in the competition. And I think it's been... Jimmy, you can fact check me, 40 or 50 years since the Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup. It's been quite a while.
40 years?
Yeah, it's been quite a long time because the US teams have been taking it. And then we had Vegas and Florida, so both Florida-based teams lost their respective leagues this week. But the Golden Knights, domination. I think it was, 9-3 the final game finished up. They just played, and I think through the whole series they scored relentlessly and were just so much better than the Florida Panthers, unfortunately. So it was a good result for them and a good outcome for that city. And I think they were joined by a few nuggets later on.
Indeed.
That's it. 1993 was the last time a Canadian team won the NHL.
30 years.
30 years.
Yep.
Still a long time.
Montreal Canadiens.
Yes.
Didn't some bloke score a hat-trick in this game? And
Well, they scored 9 goals, then yes.
it was the first hat-trick in a Stanley Cup final for a while, I thought I saw. Anyways, he's there post-game with his kid. Looked pretty cute. The kid, that is. Not the hockey player.
Yeah. You sure about that?
Don't worry, that's not live. Fun podcast.
In the background, Johnny Bairstow has continued his good form of dropping Australians. We'll take it.
Yeah, eat up, Jimmy. Not you, Jimmy Anderson. Peps, who would you like to shout a bit? Yeah, I'll shout a bit, boys. Also, expensive one. I'm going to shout the ACT Brumbies of Super Rugby fame. They had their semi-final last night against the Waikato Chiefs. They were the team to beat throughout the whole Super Rugby season. They only had 1 loss coming into the game, and they exit the game with only 1 loss. The Chiefs winning 19-6 sets up an all-Kiwi Super Rugby Pacific final against the Crusaders. This article says thrilling Super Rugby semi. First try scored 77th minute, so make of that of you will. It looked a little bit wet. The Brumbies did well to keep within range of the Chiefs, like I mentioned, being the team to beat all season. So enjoy a beer courtesy of the Esky. Everyone on the Brumbies team, starting 15 only, keep it on a budget. Support staff and bench players. No beer. And the Super Rugby final, I imagine, is next week. All New Zealand affair. Big Kiwi. It'll be Crusaders looking for their 12th win against the Chiefs. Super Rugby, New Zealand winning. Water is wet.
Very much so.
Jimmy?
Monks, who you got?
Yeah, short one this week. I'm going to give Joey Weirman, not short in stature or anything like that, but probably just in the story itself. Joey Weirman, rookie for the Milwaukee Brewers, a beer this week. So throwing in your
baseball chat?
Baseball chat? Yeah, I was trying to think of another word there and just had a complete brain freeze, as I usually do.
Boring version of cricket?
Yeah, fair. Been in a little bit of a slump of form lately. But yeah, this week against the Pittsburgh Pirates, hit a 2-run homer on none other than Free Mullet Day for the Milwaukee Brewers.
So hang on, if you've got a mullet, you get in for free? Is that how that works?
No, they were giving away free mullets, haircuts. So
you can get a mullet.
you can get a mullet. Yeah, it was called Free Mullet Day, so they were giving out free haircuts. Obviously, Aussies here, we love a good lush mullet. Joey Brewer himself sporting a nice lush mullet. So yeah, shouting him a beer for getting a 2-run homer with a not bad haircut.
Just call him Joey Brewer, like is that his nickname, or his name's Joey Weemer and he plays for the
Brewers.
That's a fucking good name, Joey Brewer.
I did see a friend
cousin of Carlos Boozer, former NBA player.
I did see friend of the Esky, Shohei Ohtani, is leading every major statistic for the Angels at the moment. So he's 100% carrying the team.
Wow.
Smashing it. Shohei Ohtani.
Yes. Into mop of the week?
Into the mop.
Yeah.
This is back-to-back?
Yes.
Have we done back-to-back mops before?
I
feel like we might have.
West Tigers?
There's a few candidates, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So the story, of course, we're talking about Conor McGregor following on from knocking out the Heat mascot, has now been...
Clean shots.
Clean shots, yeah. Legal. Has had allegations of sexual assaults raised against him, taking a female patron into the bathrooms. It's led to these charges, essentially. Don't want to hear say of what happened in said bathrooms. But there's video of said lady and McGregor, of course, entering bathroom and then spending time together afterwards. He's denied all the charges. She's, pressed charges. His consul has already said, it's nothing. We'll fight these vehemently. So I guess the situation is more the issue than anything. It's not a great look, of course, for Conor as we talked about, doing the promotion for the Ultimate Fighter, currently on that at the moment. And then I guess the recent news of his 4th child on the way coming this week, I think is a fair mop activity.
I just saw he's only 34. Jeez, he rose to the top quick, didn't he?
Oh yeah,
it's a similar age to a few on the panel here.
Yeah.
What the fuck have we done with our lives?
Yes. Yeah, we need to start a $1 billion whiskey company, I think.
Get at us for promotion at McGregor Whiskey or whatever.
Looking for sponsorships.
All right, the Ashes are here, boys. Let's talk some cricket. Not many surprises, I suppose, in the teams that were named. We'll quickly go over the 11. So
there was one for the Australians.
Yeah, I suppose all the speculation throughout the week leading up was who was going to be our bowling attack, in particular the quicks. Given the form of Scott Boland, Boland gets the nod, and Mitch Stark misses out to go along with Pat Cummins, Josh Hazlewood, and Nathan.
It's probably a very Australian reference for the El Paso ad for tacos, and why don't we have both? Because we discussed at length of like Hazlewood versus Boland. They were, of course, are going to pick Stark, but why not have both? And instead, they've picked Boland and Hazlewood and dropped Stark. I feel like it was because Starkey was too expensive. And they've gone with the more line and length, try to focus more on the seam. I think it's probably the right option looking at this pitch and how flat it's been. That was probably the better option. Maybe to contain the Baz ball. Don't give them anything free and let them score freely. So
I think that was the thinking, Sean. Yeah. Starkey, as good as he is when the ball's hooping and he's on, does have the propensity to leak a few here and there, but yeah, geez, I think
it's wicket taking though. It
caught me by surprise.
It's a wicket every 50 balls, I think, or something.
His strike rate's unreal, and I suppose the counter to that is sometimes he goes for a couple. But my thoughts were that Stark would get the nod and Hazlewood would miss out. You can't hard to play yourself into form when you haven't been playing. That was my opinion.
Hazelwood's been good though.
Well, look at those. Look at his career numbers there too. The bloke averages a touch under 26 with the ball through nearly 60 tests. So there's no qualms here Thanks, Monks, for sorting out that editing. That was actually we had one line there that wasn't lined up. But
you're lucky he hasn't put it in a spreadsheet yet.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah,
Do you want me to?
No.
Spreadsheet would have been nice before the podcast, but we're going to work with those numbers there. And I'll tell you what, that Australian team on paper, geez, it looks formidable, doesn't it?
Well, we have. And the rankings came out as well. So we had 1, 2, 3 of batsmen.
What's the order there? Labuschagne, Smith, Head.
Yeah, correct.
For 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, Labuschagne a little bit probably missed out, I think, considering what the pitch has been doing in this one. But I feel like he unfortunately went in the one period where England kind of had the ball moving around and they set him up really well to get him out. But we'll talk about that in a minute. So Starkey was really the big difference.
Yep.
What do you think about this English squad?
Not on paper, it doesn't look as strong as ours, and it's the same sort of thing.
Yeah, I felt like the top end was maybe a bit weak.
Exactly.
The middle was where they're strong.
It's their top three. It's their top three. Crawley, Duckett, Pope, all unproven yet at test level. Their numbers back that up. Crawley looked pretty good with the bat. We'll talk about that in just a second. And then through the middle, very strong. Joe Root, on pace to be the most prolific run scorer in Test history. Harry Brook, who's had one of the best starts to a Test career one can think of. Ben Stokes, who's done no wrong as their skipper, and the redhead Johnny Bairstow. And then you roll into this bowling lineup with Moeen Ali, who definitely gives you that extra stick at 8. Stuart Broad,
perfect timing, just
Ollie Robinson, James Anderson. He does get hit for 6. I didn't realise Robinson's numbers from 16 tests averages 21 with the ball. So it's a pretty good start. And then obviously Anderson and Broad, 1,000+ test wickets between them. So definitely the question marks around their top 3 in Crawley, Duckett and Pope coming into this Ashes.
So let's start day 1. England win the toss and elect to bat, which is not usually what happens in England, playing in England. So
not always, yeah.
Yes. I think they got what they wanted in flat pitch. It was been well discussed that they'd asked for a flat pitch, making, I don't want to say a batter's paradise, but essentially that's...
It looks like a bit of a road. Yeah,
it's what they wanted to be able to, to play their game, which is the Baz ball, which we'll talk about in length. But, be able to bat and, don't give the bowlers too much. But I think that also plays a little bit in their cards, their secret weapon being the swing as well. When it gets a bit overcast and the temperature's going to go down a bit dewy, and then the ball starts moving around, and that's their big difference. The Australians really can't do that. Have never really successfully, had that skill on tap to do when they need to. It's very much a speciality of the Pommies.
And having said that, a bit of sunshine, warmer weather. We spoke about the heat wave that's gripped England. With
nice and clear.
Their weather. The temperatures in the high 20s. It hasn't really swung around. The very new Dukes sort of moved a little bit, and then once you sort of get through that first 10, 15 overs, there's not much to it. I
reckon start of day 2, where it was overcast, a bit cold. Where Broad got his 2 wickets. Unfortunately for Warner, and we're skipping ahead here into the Aussie innings, chopping one on from well outside his pegs and bringing it back. But then the Marnus ball, there was definitely some movement there, and it moved away, and then Jimmy was moving at that time. So they capitalised on maybe 10 overs that they had where the ball was actually moving, where they got some swing. But then the sun came out, and then it went away, and then Australia got into the batting, and then they got into the roll on, and that's kind of where we're at now with where the score is at 3:30.
Let's go back to day 1. Zach Crawley, he looks pretty good when he's on, and he showed his intent from that first ball.
The first ball.
Camo gave him a half volley outside off. He said, "Thanks very much. Played one of the better cover drives you'll see." Sent it straight to the ropes, and him and Duckett, they were playing the Bazball brand, looking to score early. Duckett got a couple, and then sort of played a bit of a nothing cut shot, feet stuck in mud to reference the mop of the week, and he snicked up straight to Carey. Aussies take the first wicket early on. Yeah,
and I think it was pretty clear as well. Hazelwood probably best of the length. Cummins was bowling probably 2 straight.
Cummins was erratic, I think, early on, a bit too much on the pads.
Yeah, and I think Boland followed as well, was kind of a bit too much on the pads too.
Which unlike him.
Yeah, and it was good that Hazelwood was kind of keeping it a bit sharp. But then I think they bowled better towards the end of day one than they did at the start. So, getting into a bit of rhythm, maybe a bit of nerves there. Seemed to be jumping at shadows a little bit with Bazball, trying to keep the runs down, but I think once they get into this test match a bit and they get a bit more used to playing against Bazball, I think they'll be all right.
That brings Ollie Pope to the crease, the vice-captain, the anointed one. He also looked pretty good early on, but Nathan Lyon traps him LBW for 31. It was a good review from the Aussies, not out on the field, and they went upstairs and, hit him just above the knee. Roll was taking sort of middle and leg towards the top of the stumps. Good review, 2 for 92. Run rate up, Bazball's on. Into... You hear the crowd going, they love Joe Root over there, and why wouldn't you? His forms in recent tests: 56 against Ireland, 95, 153 not, 57 against New Zealand. The bloke can bat.
Oh, definitely, and then he was playing some ridiculous shots as well.
Yeah.
I think he just a run of form and was happy doing. Got freedom. I think is probably what the Pommy batsmen love the most about Bazball. Is they're just happy to go out there and bat and play, some of their natural game and then try some other things. But they were, hitting the Aussies all over the place. Hitting Boland on a reverse scoop sweep is
for 6.
For 6 is just bananas.
And what about when he got given LBW on 61, and obviously it hit his gloves, and then the next ball goes out, plays the same shot, heads it for 4. He's in some kind of mindset, isn't he? Where sort of like when Smudge he's on and he just starts playing ridiculous shots, and you're like, who can get this bloke out?
Yeah. And I think that was the thing because he kind of really steadied England, and then him and Johnny kind of put them over the edge, and they really gave them the majority of their score in this. I think he, like we said, he's in the middle of that order, and he's one of the core kind of form for them. So making up for the guys that maybe not scoring as well, but he's always there scoring big totals.
Crawley finished with 61. Pretty bad umpiring decision, I thought, there from old Murray Erasmus. It was pretty loud sound, I thought. Reviewed, and Crawley goes. Harry Brook, a quick 32. He talked a bit of smack before the test. He said if they bowl quicker, it tends to go to the boundary quicker.
32 or 37 is not too bad.
The start that the blokes had to his career, you'd probably err on the side of confidence or being cocky.
And we did get a little bit lucky as well in that one, getting that ball kind of flicked up over his head and it comes down.
Very unusual dismissal, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. I think a little bit lucky might be putting it a little bit delicately. I think we got very, very, very lucky, but we'll take it there. And then no luck needed with the Ben Stokes dismissal for one. Hazelwood showing why he should be in this team. But then fucking Johnny Bairstow, he tends to be the thorn in our sides a fair bit. Massive partnership, 121 with Root, of which Bairstow scored 78 of them. And then he was just hitting them so clean. He was sweeping very well and succumbed to Nathan Lyon, played all across the line, a little bit of extra bounce, and he got stumped for 78. Bazball sort of kept rolling. Mo and Ali looking to score. Works when you score runs, but I think his dismissal was even worse than Bairstow's. Like that looked like a T20 sort of run down the pitch. Probably beaten for flight a little bit, and he also got stumped. Into Broad for who made 16. Cam Green getting him, and then probably the big talking point I think from day one was this declaration. Now look, I understand you want to have a go at the Aussies with 4 overs they end up getting. Try to, get an early scalp whilst the ball's moving around a little bit, sun's going down, et cetera, et cetera. But when the best bloke that arguably's ever batted for England is at the crease and he's 118 not, my feeling would be just finish the day with Root out there and try to tack on another 50 to 100 runs on day 2. What were your thoughts around the declaration?
Yeah, I thought they would have pushed maybe more for 440, 450, but I think friend of the Esky team had it right. Their aggressive style. Oh, that's
Jimmy Anderson has just gotten Uzi.
Yeah, move that scorecard down, Jimmy. Let's get a replay of this one. No, I think it's Kerry that was on facing that one. Yeah, it's Kerry.
He's got Carey.
He just hit a 4.
The old quarter screen.
Yeah. I was interested to see if this was moving a lot. Because it looked like it came back.
Jagged in a little bit, didn't it?
So you get the off the same.
Maybe stay a little bit low, straight through the gate, top of off.
66 for Alex.
Fuck
Kerry.
this bloke. He's 40.
He's so good.
He's so good. He's 40 years old. 180th test.
Well, they still.
Yeah.
I guess, as we lose probably our last official batsman, they are still 55 runs ahead. So
that's a big wicket, isn't it?
Yeah, that's huge.
So we're going to really need Camo. And that's the other thing with not having Stark, I suppose.
He is 40 plus, didn't he? Now?
Yeah, what it does for just sort of bolstering that tail end a little bit better. So Camo really needs to go out there and play a supporting role here with Aussie. I think, given how we started day 3, you'd think anything trailing would be a failure. So hopefully, from our point of view, the captain can go out there and support Uzi and maybe get us a slim lead.
Yeah, so back to the declaration. I think, that was their aggressive mindset. I think it was pretty clear on day 2, the plans they set for the Aussies, that they've lived and breathed Australia cricket since March, since their last test match. Because, every weakness for an Australian batsman, they came out, they planned to try and get them out. Aussie, their main thing was to try and do over the wicket because that was seen to be his weakness on his average, but to Aussie's credit, he's played excellent and it's been the one that's stayed there. But they've tried to set traps for everyone, tried to play to the weaknesses of what the Aussies are. So you can see that they've done their homework and have come out and played a very aggressive style of cricket yesterday. And to a large point, it's been working. I think Alex Carey and Usman yesterday after tea kind of really got us back into this game. And I was hoping they could push on probably for 400 plus 450 to take a bit of a lead here and then put the pressure back onto England to, the rest of day 3, say into day 4, actually have to score quickly to then get the Australians back in to get them out and have a good total to be able to defend. So, putting the pressure right back on the Pommies to, go Baz ball as best as they can against our attack. But we'll see. We'll see. There's been a lot of chances early in this first couple overs here at the start of this session. There's been a few drops, a few missed catches. So there's definitely chances, but that was a great ball there from Jimmy to really get them back on the front foot here.
Let's go to our innings. Davey Warner, 9. Probably a little bit unlucky chopping on there, but
he was looking good. Both him and Usman were looking good early. Yeah. They were seeing it, hitting it.
Unfortunately, no luck on the scorecard. Yeah. Broad gets him for the umpteenth time in Test cricket, bringing massive mental advantage Stuart Broad as they go into the second innings. Does Davey need to score runs, do you think, to keep his spot, or the fact that he said, I'm retiring at the end of the year, does that just buy him the next 6 months?
Yeah, I think the team's kind of set where it is for the Ashes, and then the only test they play after that is his retirement tour. So I think he'll probably see it out. Unless Broad gets him ducked for the next 3 games, and he's just like, he's not scoring anything.
There's a world where they pick Marcus Harris, and I
don't think that's a giant improvement though. What we've seen recently from Harris.
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's the old, is there anyone banging down the door? And no one has really been banging down the proverbial door, have they?
Yeah. So that's kind of where I think we're at. And I think that Warner was very unlucky in this one. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the second innings because they're probably going to have a total, they'll have a total need to chase.
I want him to score some runs.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He really needs to, yeah.
Speaking of needs to score some runs,
Marnus.
Yeah.
If you look at his recent record.
Well, he doesn't need to. He did get a golden quacker in this one. He is the number 1 ranked batsman in the world in Test cricket.
Yeah, I feel for Liz Buschange that every time I see him get out, it's the exact same way. The ball's like a foot outside off and he's just nibbled at it. And usually early in his innings. Like
he could have left it.
He could have left it. Yeah, it's just like he doesn't need to be scoring. And I feel like he does this more often than not when I see him get out. There's just a little one there that, again, going back to they knew they had plans for each batsman as they came out. They knew what it was they liked. And, with a little bit of swing there, throw something out that Labuschagne likes to nibble at. And, he did nibble at this one and
sneaked it up
and
off he goes.
Poor bloke in the red hat was facing the wrong direction for that wicket. So yeah, Marnus, which is a big loss, of course, the number one Test batsman at the moment, and gets nothing.
Also gave you that feeling like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
It's in England. It's 2 for 29.
Yeah, well then Steve Smith came out and he faced 60 balls, but he only scored 16.
He was battling out there, wasn't he?
Yeah, and you know the Harry Brook over as well. They knew that Smith struggled a little bit with the lower pace bowlers, you know, keeping him off his pads. You know, enter Ben Stokes. He's not as slow as Harry Brook is as a bowler, but he's not as quick as Broad and Jimmy are. And lo and behold, Steve Smith can't keep him off his pads, and he goes for 16. And then at that point we were 3 for 70 something. Yeah, so but thank God entered Travis Head and Trav Ball.
Trav Ball is better than Baz Ball. No joke. This bloke, it doesn't matter if it's 3 for 3 or 3 for 300. He plays his natural game, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I think he got a little bit reckless once he hit his 50 as well. And he took a real liking to Mohamed Ali. But this one, I don't want to say threw his wicket away, but he was just trying to hit everything over the fence by that point. And missed on this one and straight down Crawley's throat to get him out, unfortunately.
Cam Green comes in, handy 38. Bowen gets 2.
Yeah, and I'd be interested to follow how this goes going forward, because this ball moved a fair bit. So Ali getting this wicket with a lot of turn. So I wonder if this pitch, being flat as it sort of crumbles in the the footmarks in the rest of this Test match, whether Nathan Lyon, who did get 4 for us, comes more into this game, and what Ali is saying comes more into this game as well. For wickets, because there's definitely some turn there and offer for the spinners.
I think Gaz needs 5 in the second innings to get 500 as well.
Yes.
So would love to see that.
I did see, I think it was Tubby was giving, that one stayed down. Tubby was giving him an interview, and he said, what do you think about 500? He's like, well, I've got to think about 492 and 493 first. And when I get there, I'll get there. So that's
classic sportsman's answer.
Yeah. It's a big Test match, of course, being the first Ashes. So, and it's on a knife's edge at the moment.
Then Alice Carey comes in. His form's been reasonable as well when it comes to red ball cricket.
Did you see
was 50 unbeaten at the end of the day's play? Yeah.
Have you seen his recent innings where he's batted? The positions Australia's been in when he's come out.
Yeah, not good, I don't think.
Yeah, none of them good. He's essentially been Australia's saviour, and he was in this one. Him and Aussie put together a 100 partnership to, again, really get us into us. And that kind of led into Osman getting a ton. Toiled away all day, faced 279 balls and finished the day at 126. He's currently at 137 or 8 at the moment. 36.
136 not. Nearly faced 300 rocks as it stands. Look, hindsight's 2020, but the fact that this bloke was ever dropped and taken out of the picture.
Well, think Travis Head was dropped. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, we only talk about selections when they're wrong.
Yeah.
We never say, they kept picking that Steve Smith bloke early on in his career and, batting him at 8 and etc.
I think, though, that it was I do agree it's a bit of a travesty. The amount of time Osman spent in the wilderness, considering how well he was scoring, in all the first class.
He did nothing wrong.
Yeah, he did nothing wrong, and there didn't seem to be a real reason for why he was not getting picked. And he's only rewarded Australian faithful since then. He's been on such a tear of form. So let's hope he can get 200 here.
I wouldn't mind it. Let's go, Uzi. They just had Jimmy Anderson's first class numbers up there. That was wicket 1,100 for him in first class cricket. I don't think I could bowl 1,100 balls. Like seriously,
injuring yourself.
Yeah, before my back went. And I'm not talking about 1,100 straight. I'm talking like over 20 years. That's ball 1,100. There goes me back. Dead set. The bloke has looked after himself. That's for sure.
Ball a day for 5 years. Don't think you do it.
Yeah, quick maths. Look, when you put it like that,
you're like, easy. Shit that in.
Bowling 140 clicks.
No.
Do go back to the first time I tried to do that.
Anyway, into day 3, as we mentioned, England probably starting to take this match back a bit with that wicket We need.
We trail by 53. I would say it's perfectly even right now.
Yeah, I think.
Maybe England by a nose.
No, yes, I think if Aotearoa can get us that that remaining 53 and we're basically level, it's a tight test match. Maybe even if we get level and it's by lunchtime, I think that kind of puts maybe a little bit more pressure on England to then have to score. Post getting us all out, have to score to do their Baz ball, and then also to get us back in to get us out on this pitch in say a day and a half. Defending for them hopefully 300 plus.
That'll be interesting. How you said do Baz ball? Do they go out and be so attacking in the second innings? Like, is that going to be? I
think if they want to win, they have to. Otherwise, this game match is just heading towards a draw.
No,
I think on this pitch it's more batter friendly. So I
not
think
even halfway through.
I think where I'm thinking where it's going to go.
Yeah, maybe.
I feel like it's
there's a touch of rain on the radar as well, so that could be a factor.
It is looking a little bit more overcast in the background, but whether that's, I don't think London has too much smog. So
Birmingham,
yeah.
So what do you think? Ideally for Australia to put us in the best position to win, do you reckon we need to? Well, what's the goal for today? I guess
just be like 300-400 ahead, something like that.
Yeah. At the start of play, I was hoping for 600. Like we just keep batting forever.
I think if these guys can, they currently try by 50. Even if you 40 runs ahead,
40 runs.
Yeah, 20. Like just having a small lead.
I think 450's a nice round number for us.
100 ahead. That would be nice.
Yeah, that's 60.
Well,
a
small lead.
Small lead, yeah.
For all the work that Clive is doing, do you think he's batting a little bit too slow though?
Nah.
You're happy with that?
Nah.
He's got now maybe with Alex, but now you just got to stay in.
Just got to stay in now.
Yeah. And manipulate the strike.
Exactly. Get as many runs. Take the singles on offer. Hit the bad balls, but again, like I said, push to 200, and hopefully your partners survive for you to be there that long.
Just see ball, hit ball, line and length. wait for the bad ball.
All the usual rhetoric. So yes, he's seen them like beach balls at the moment. So there you
sure
go.
is. Sure is.
It is looking very overcast there.
It is.
So. How old's the current ball they're using? 101
overs, so it'd be 31 overs.
It looked like it was fairly scruffed up.
Yeah.
A massive spot on one side of it.
I'd be more worried about the new ball coming in and, knocking after 5 overs, kind of knocking off one
new
side
ball.
And then...
If we get the second new ball, we're sweet. We've got heaps of runs on the board. Be a while away.
What did you find there about Moen Ali?
It's a bit of breaking news. He has been found guilty of conduct contrary.
What was he doing?
25% of his match fee.
Here we go.
When they sprayed
a drying agent
on the ball.
Bowling hand, not the ball.
As Cummins hits a 6
cheat
off his bowling. So there we go.
That's it. So I think it's more just semantics. The umpires gave pre-series instructions not to do anything with their hands without prior approval.
It's sticking, bro. He's basically pitching in the MLB at the moment. So
yeah, it's definitely not work. He's throwing absolute pies up. Waist high fullies to our skip.
I think he's hoping he skies that one. But anyway,
yeah,
he's hit that for 6.
He deliberately bowled the waist high fully.
Yeah,
that's grade cricket if I've ever heard of it. 5th grade at that. Shit gets wickets. Let's go.
100% it does.
Too funny. Yeah,
he has been complaining about his spinning finger at the moment as well. They did show some highlights of him with his physio at the start of play. He might have a bit of a callus or a blister there. So.
Do you ever watch Moen Ali bowl and just think, how the fuck is he their frontline spinner?
Well, he's retired. Do you remember we went through the selection teams. He was probably one of the surprise ones because Leach, of course, was ruled out injured, and he had been retired and hadn't played Test cricket in 2 years.
Bang!
As Camo hits him for 6 again.
Good, big. More of that. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll take these runs as that pushes us past 350.
What's the Cummins version of Bazball?
Cumball.
Jimmy knew what the answer to that was, and that's why he asked. Yes, of course he did. Hook, line, and sinker.
That was a Moen Ali full toss. straight on my thigh pad. And have I put it 5 rows back over cow corner. No, I've skied it to mid wicket because I'm a nonce. That's why.
So the story was that Ben Stokes texted Ali with Ash's question mark, and he just wrote back lol. Then he got the news 24 hours later that Leach was going to be out injured, and then he did a frontline spinner, so he has come in out of retirement.
I was going to say, did he text back saying lol? I'm not a frontline spinner. Was that the text? Handy with the bat. Don't get me wrong. You look at him batting 8, he's got a lot of skills at bat 8.
Yes. He has taken 2 wickets, to be fair.
Yeah, for 147.
True. He has bowled a lot. I think Ben Stokes has actually bowled a lot less. Because he's had that knee injury. So he's coming back from that. So whether he's just pacing himself a little bit.
Stokes has only bowled for 7 overs.
Yeah. So, which I would have thought he would have bowled a little bit more. There was the incident yesterday where he was fielding and it looked like he may have strained his hammy. So whether he just has a bit of leg soreness, of course, with the recent knee injury, he's maybe bowling a little bit less, and maybe that's why Ali's in there a bit more. Maybe the overrate's a little bit slow. And
true. At India.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, there you go.
We'll follow it as the first session unfolds. You'll have to excuse us if we're talking about some footy or US sport or something and we go, oh yes, Cam Doug, etc., as Moeen takes a spell. Boys, there's a big game of rugby league football coming up Wednesday night. Hit that sound, monks.
Do you want to start with Queensland? Just because it's quick.
Yep.
I think we covered it. Mm-hmm. We said that if Gilbert of course was going to be out, we thought Nanai or Horsburgh would be there. Nanai gets the start. Horsburgh is a 19th man. Cobbo was a late ruling out, but Xavier Coates direct replacement essentially. And what was the third one? There was another one.
There's one on the bench. I think it was.
I can't remember.
Mo Fedawake.
Oh, because Joe Arrow, of course, was out. So and Mo had played before. So no
debutants.
No debutants. It was just
3 replacements.
Three replacements. So pretty strong Queensland team to take into Queensland at home.
They go 1 through 17. Walsh, Coates, Holmes, Hammer, Tulangi. Mm-hmm. Now, Munster, can you get an update on Cam? Munster had seen some, maybe fake news, I don't know.
He was roasting Andrew Johns on the Footy Show this morning.
Was he?
So yeah. Fine. At the end of the interview, he asked...
Leaves him steaming, apparently.
Yeah, well, if looks could kill, it was definitely the look that Andrew Johns didn't want to give. Because him and his brother are in a bit of a feud at the moment.
I don't know about that feud.
Yeah. Anyway, okay.
Bert's family feud.
Yeah, exactly. Munster did ask him, was like, had you met up with your brother yet? And he just, deadpan looking straight down the camera was his answer. So, anyway, I think to answer the point, I think Munster's fine for this game of footy.
DCE 7, Lindsay Collins 8, Ben Hunt, who just signed a lifetime deal with the Dragons, he's playing 9. Tino Fasasur Malawi 10 for feeder. Nanai comes in, as mentioned, Pat Carrigan, Harry Grant, Tom Flegler, Ruben Cotter, Mo Fodawaker, AJ Brimson, Corey Horsburgh in the squad. Yeah. You're a resident Queensland man, nothing really unexpected there.
No, happy.
All right, let's talk about this Blues team. Mm-hmm. So last pod, we were speculating. We got a little bit of it right. The Queenslander down the end of the table got the halves pairing correct. Teddy stays the incumbent captain. Old Crichton 3, so Latrell named. Then a few days later, apparently his cast no good. He's still out. Mm-hmm. Turbo, Josh Adokar, Jerome Luai, Mitch Moses. Where's the 7? Nico Hines misses out entirely.
Yeah.
What are our thoughts, boys?
Well, I think he's a bit hard down, especially since they picked him in for game 1 and then threw him to the Wolves for 10 minutes to play in the centres.
A bit.
Yeah. And then not pick him. I think he had kind of 2 dismal-ish games for the Sharks, though, post that. But they did hammer.
You see him today?
Yeah, he
looked pretty good today.
He looked pretty good today.
Granted, it was the Bulldogs and not the Maroons.
And they're not in the top 8, so there is that caveat.
Yes.
So I understand why maybe they did that. But Moses, when we were talking to some of the other options, I think
hate it.
Yeah, I agree. I think my favourite option was probably Walker and Hines as probably two top tier players at the moment and for their respective formers in their respective positions. And I think my quote there, which I wrote, was Fittler will probably outthink himself, and you pick Luai and Moses. So
got it.
That's where we're at. But then again, we talked about every combination possible on the last pod.
Monkey at 6, Sean at 7.
Yes.
Really scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yes.
What do you mean?
Row, maybe.
Front row. Then we're really in trouble.
Time will tell. He's made selections that he thinks will win a very hard game in Queensland, and that will really decide, I guess, his future as the New South Wales coach.
A lot of pressure on Freddie mounting, a lot of it coming from Blues fans. So let's see how Mitch Moses goes with the 7 on his back. Junior Paulo, he comes into the starting side. Damien Cook, I suppose, was the no-brainer to come in to replace Happy Coruscant, but we'll talk about the bench in just a second. Payne Haas, Tyson Frizzell, Hudson Young, Isaiah Yeo, nothing changed there.
Yeah, interesting. I think Young maybe retained his spot a little bit. I think that might have to do with maybe where Liam Martin is, because he's still going through the concussion protocol. He can't train until I think the captain's run on Wednesday. So that's because I thought, either Liam Murray or Cam Murray or Liam Martin would come into the starting squad at the expense of Hudson, because I think they were just so much better with those two on the park than when Hudson was out there, and he was in the dog house after he's dropping the balls.
The dog park's up there. That's multiple dog houses.
You've really done something wrong there.
That's pasture essentially. Put him out to pasture.
Dog pasture.
So I think it was interesting. He retained his spot. What role he plays and how long he plays will be quite interesting in this one. But I feel like it's more cover for Liam Martin with his recovery from injury. Have him coming off the bench maybe for impact, and have Hudson have the wear and tear of the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Speaking of coming off the bench, the bench is the next thing we need to discuss. Stefano Otukamano, I think I said that right. He replaces Tavita Pangai Jr. directly. Selection. So Pangai Jr., we spoke about it sort of after the fact. Bit of a surprise call in the first place. Didn't play lights out by any means, and then that offload.
It's always good for one error.
Yeah, maybe was the nail in the coffin. I just don't know. Like, it seems like Hines sort of similar kind of boat. If you're going to pick someone, I think
have a plan for them.
Yeah, I would feel like it's not like, because he didn't play big minutes either, Pangai Jr. Yeah. For mine, like, I didn't know if his form warranted him being in that side in the first place.
He played 2 games for Canterbury leading out of that. He'd been injured for a month before.
Correct.
So it seems silly.
So what is the point of picking a bloke?
He was very good in the Bulldogs game after this as well.
Again,
so minutes.
Again, does that equate to how a bloke will perform on the biggest stage? But I just don't know what's going on in the selection panel or Freddie's mind to go with someone and play him for 40 odd minutes and then cut you out. Like I would think you stick it out a little bit once they've been selected. Now I'm not saying that Pangai, I would have had Pangai Jr. in my Blues starting 17 in the first instance, but I think once you select a bloke, there needs to be that kind of Queensland's always talking about pick and stick and all that.
Yeah, what's your plan for them? And
that's right.
I think it was quite interesting because of this. There was doing the rounds of Freddie's selections over the last 3 or 4 years for guys that have played for New South Wales and played one game. I think there was like 6 or 7 of them. But I think in most cases there was a good reason they only played one game. I think Nick Kotrick was on the list. Pangai, of course. Nico Hines was on the list. Dylan Walker, maybe. Cody Walker, I think, was on the list. He only played one.
Has Cody only played one?
I feel like it. And then they switch it
New South Wales Blues.
But yeah, it was a bit of a list there that guys that have probably didn't do well in their first audition and then have been kicked out.
Speaking of only played one, little crossover with the cricket on. You ever seen the list of blokes that have played one test only for Australia? It is long.
Yeah.
It's like 1 in 8 or 1 in 9 people that play Test cricket play one Test.
Yeah.
It's a real testament to the blokes that play 100 or 180, if you will.
Well,
Jimmy Anderson.
Well, I think that's the kind of the thing. You have your established 11, and if one of those guys is hurt, then you get a call up, you play your game, and then you have to wait, and hopefully a position will open up in your generation for cricket. If not, they've got the place, sewn up.
The one Test wonders. Hopefully not one Origin wonders in Pangai Jr. and Nico Hines. We have to talk about him. So Reece Robson gets the last bench spot.
Yes.
Tactically, I don't hate this.
I think we talked about it. Like, if they want to have a rotational utility that plays hooker, they then potentially could slide into second row. Like I said, I didn't know who was available for New South Wales. Reece Robson was, and he fits that bill really well. But I think the Cowboys have been doing overly well this year, so question marks maybe.
Yeah, I don't hate this selection, but I think it's very, very, very stiff on Nico Hines. Yeah. There you go. So Monks, it was pretty quick there. 56 players have featured only once in State of Origin level, which is a fair few, if you would.
See if they've got something
recently. For Nico, he's a Dally M player of the year.
That's the list.
Has to absolutely murder his confidence.
So you've got Nick Kotrick, Luke Keary, Moses. He'll get his second game. Staggs, Ryan Matheson, and Jacob Safidi.
What's his on? Sports Network.
Sorry, I didn't hear your question, Peppy, by the way.
No, we're just looking at these one-hit wonders.
Maroons have got a few more.
Yeah, lots for the Maroons. But
Hammer's played
again.
Yeah,
this
Ruben has articles from last year.
Yeah. Tom Gilbert, half of those guys have played now, second one.
But looking at that, I imagine Brenko Lee and Edric Lee don't play another game, so you could probably, go off it. What were we talking about? Nico Hines, Reece Robson.
Yes.
What was I talking about?
Yes.
Look, you can see how Queensland have been so effective with the Ben Hunt Harry Grant combination. I can understand why New South Wales want to emulate that.
Yeah, I think that's probably the caveat. If you look at the teams Brad Fittler's put together in the last 3 series, and then you look at Queensland, that spine largely switch in Walsh and Ponga has largely been unchanged with Munster, Ben Hunt, Harry Grant, and DCE.
Yeah, 6, 7, 9, 14.
Yeah, but then you look at, I think Cleary got hurt in one of the series again, and that's why Moses came in. They haven't been able to maintain their spine as much. Rotating between the hookers as well. They haven't really set on that kind of relationship. Caveat, of course, is none of those guys play week in, week out with each other in the Queensland squad, besides Munson, so Harry Grant does. There's been heaps of talk about combinations, but
combinations.
I feel like, and maybe goes to what Billy and the Queensland coaching staff have done, they'd be able to put the guys in and be able to get them to work together. That's kind of the main thing in a short time frame, and they're just I've been in that arena long enough, talented enough to be able to do that. So big ask, of course, I think that's the big thing. Big ask for New South Wales to do that with this new team, with 3 guys now, 2 guys still coming off injuries, not going to practice a whole lot, going into a deciding match in Queensland. Gives me lots of causes for concern, but being the underdog is what you want to be in a State of Origin game, unfortunately.
Speaking of underdogs, Monks, you've got the odds there. Queensland pretty short favourites here, aren't they?
Yes, yeah, they are. So they are
which
favourites.
Concerns me.
They are favourites $1.39. New South Wales are out at $3 at the moment.
That's too much for a State of Origin game. Considering how close the first game was, and New South Wales were coming back in that's last 20. So Queensland kind of held on and then managed to put it away late.
Yeah, well, the line is 6.5, so
it's a big line.
Yeah. And then just a little tidbit here: Valentine Holmes' first try scorer, $13 with Sportsbet. He has been the first try scorer in 4 of his last previous Origin appearances at Suncorp.
Yeah.
Really?
Apparently,
that's a big stat there.
Yeah.
the big thing for me is how many do Queensland win at Suncorp? Because I think that's why this is $1.39 short odds. I imagine
Let's hope
it's a lot.
Let's go, Queensland.
It's going to be hard. It's a tough ask.
It's gonna be hard.
It's a massive
for the Blues. Troops down, go up there, hostile environment.
Series on the line.
Series on the line.
et cetera.
I imagine most fans of rugby league would like to not see a dead rubber down in Sydney unless they're Queensland people, I suppose. Look, I hope they can do it. It's. I think their backs are against the wall. It's gonna
It'll be a massive
hard with a
difference.
new group to go do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll find out Wednesday night.
Let's go. Round 16, few buys, but let's talk about the games that did take place. Cowboys and Panthers. This was a great game of footy. A lot of origin stars missing from both teams. Jack Cogger and Jamin Salmon, the weak-gutted dog himself, they stood up for the Pink Panthers. And this game was 22 apiece with 15 minutes to go when Cole Felt went in. Chad Townsend kicks a field goal. Cowboys, elation, think they've won it. 100 seconds to go. Pink Panthers recover the short kickoff. Jack Cogger, 5 seconds left, kicks a field goal after a bit of mayhem as well. That gets it through to Golden Point.
That was their only point in the second half too, by the way.
Yeah, it was all Penrith coming back in that one. Cowboys coming back, sorry. Dylan Edwards smacked a pretty good field goal attempt at the start of Golden Point. It goes wide left. Then there's this illegal strip, which leads to a Cole Felt penalty from 50 metres out. Didn't quite have the journey. He's a little bit short right. Then they go the other way for the second bit of Golden Point. This one looked like it was headed for a draw. Cowboys set up for a field goal. Bit of broken play. Scotty Drink carves up a knackered defence. Yeah, and goes through and celebrations in Townsville. One of the better games of footy I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
And nice finish.
Scott Drinkwater had an excellent game. There's a lot of rhetoric about Dylan Edwards. Does he play as well without all the rep stars playing next to him? So I think Cowboys get a win. Actually, the big one was Big Jason. Big
Tamalolo.
Was back in this one and was very dominant in his stint. I think he set up actually the Drinkwater. He had that big run, which then led to
his legs were just driving, just carrying blokes.
So getting him back at his best will be good for the Cowboys. And I think really the only other news is it sounds like they want Luke Brooks, who during the week said he's not taking the option to stay with the Tigers and he's leaving. Has a relationship and a connection with Dodd Payton. So he potentially could go up there, and Chad Townsend might be off to Super Rugby League. Is that what it is in England? What's it called?
Super League.
Super League. There you go. So yeah, that's latest news as we probably start getting into halfback Dominoes season.
It's going to be interesting after Ben Hunt signed that life deal. Let's go into Super Saturday. The Chooks close winners against the Knights up there at McDonald Jones. Joey Manu, we like to talk highly of this bloke. So they had
to play well in this one as
didn't
well.
They? Sandon Smith, I think's his name, playing 7. Luke Keary got hurt pretty early. I think he's got a broken jaw.
Yeah, I think they've pretty much
that
confirmed.
official? Yeah.
I saw it on the coverage, and it definitely looked like he had a big lump sticking out the side of his cheek, like something was misaligned.
So incidental. Did you see it?
Yeah, it was just Dom Young's back of his heel.
He's
running through.
He was trying to ankle tap him. He probably didn't even need to.
He wasn't going to stop Dom Young at that distance.
He wasn't going to stop him. And then he just caught one, and looks like that's 6 to 8 weeks. So that's big for the Chooks.
They're in all sorts, but they did get the win.
They got the win, so important. How about the run meters? 318 for Joey Manu. Try, 7 tackle busts, 6 offloads if you don't mind. But yeah, if Sammy Walker's still not good for a little bit, Luke Keary could be out for a couple of months. I suppose Manu goes back to 6, and that Don bloke, or whatever his name is, maybe 7. They got Drew Hutchinson. I'm not sure.
It was definitely an interesting week for halves combinations, that was for sure, especially with the guys out in representative football.
Well, how about the Eels Manly game? Ryan Madison, 60, apparently played halfback as a junior.
He's a big
halfback these days.
Oh, yeah.
He's got some rig,
He's
maybe a little homo, but Ryan Madison, elite rig. And then Dejan Arce, I think that's the pronunciation, he played 7. Tell you what, Manly, when they don't have Tom Turbo and DCE.
They're such a different team without Turbo.
Aren't they?
And especially with their captain and DCE too. Jake Arthur did play 7 against his old club. You know, he was getting stuck into Baldy, as he called him.
Old Baldy.
Yes.
Old man Baldy.
Old man Baldy. But in this one, Baldy get it over him. Bailey Simonson got a double as well.
Tell you what, Queensland fans, Jermaine Hopgood, spoken a bit about him this season. I think he'll be a maroon jumper wearer at some stage. Played 67 minutes in this one, 173 run metres, 32 tackles, 4 tackle busts, 2 offloads, and a meat pie. He has had an absolute breakout year.
Yep.
Into the Storm and Tigers. I was talking to a Tigers fan this week saying, good week to get the Storm, you know. No Munster, no Harry Grant. Nah, the Storm's still the Storm. 28-6 did it pretty easy. I think we spoke about it last pod, but no Luke Brooks, no Appy through their injuries. Means they line up a little bit funny. Stafford Toa, Brennan Wakeham, Jade Simpkin. Good article from the Telegraph, I think it was, with John Bateman to captain and David Clement to translate. I thought that was quite funny because he speaks English. Just can't understand him up there sometimes from the north of England. The big story from this one, outside of Will Warbrick scoring 4.
Their only points as well.
And the Storm looking pretty good, was big Alex Twal. 116 games. He finally crosses for his first meat pie. He had 12.3 kilometres of run meters before he got his first try. Yeah. It's pretty impressive. Over a half marathon. No, over a half marathon there. And it was the just right place at the right time. He just fell on it.
Yeah, just the right bounce.
Just squirted out. Yeah. And you could see him sort of like, don't fuck this up, Fell on it, gets his first meaty. He actually crossed the line earlier in the year and it got knocked out.
Yep.
So I did a little bit of research. I think it might have been Ladbrokes, unofficial sponsor, of course. I think they did a little bit of a bit on longest droughts, without scoring a meaty. Yep. All Tigers players, go figure. But so Jason Lowry played 139 games before scoring. So 12 actually, was way off having to worry about that.
Season on his belt.
That's right. But the record is Bryce Gibbs, not Carlton Blues and Adelaide Crows Bryce Gibbs. Bryce Gibbs that used to play for the Tigers. 141 games he played, but it wasn't his first 141. Okay. So he actually scored.
He had an 8-year drought. Yeah.
But the try that he scored was in the GF. And then from that 8 years...
He scored the first try, didn't he?
Yeah, it was first try score, remember?
Sparged over and...
He would have been paying a bit. Paying a bit. And then the most games... I don't know if this is NRL era. I assume it is. But Ben Cross, he actually played Origin for New South Wales. He was a front row forward for the Raiders, Storm and Newcastle. Played 95 NRL games, never scored. Did go to Super League and scored 1.
Yep.
So, anyways, for all those boys, those nut truckers playing out there in the middle, playing grade rugby league around the country, just wait, it's coming. It's coming. You might fall on a spilt ball out of a bomb and get your first meaty.
Yeah.
Well done, Alex Twal.
Yes. Well, if the torch has been passed, Pat Carrigan is the longest drought at 74 games for an active NRL player at the moment.
Now, is that 74? He's never scored one?
He's never scored one. He's got 0.
Wow.
He's played 74 games, no tries.
That's surprising.
Wow.
Paddy Carrigan.
So, yes, we'll see if he can score his first, maybe against the Blues on Wednesday.
Pan a bit. No tries. Well, plenty of tries in this one. Sharkies 48, Dogs 10. No notes there because it'll only just happen. Nico looked very, very good.
I think Roldo got a double.
I think Nico had 200-odd run meters as well.
Oh, he won it in this. I checked it at the halftime, and he had all the stats. And I lie, Roldo didn't get a double.
Did anyone get a double? No, one each.
One each.
Try scorers: McInnes, Nickera, Ramian, Ronaldo Multalo, Teague Wilton, Hamlin Ueli, Williams, Hazelton. Oh, yeah. Tom Hazelton busted over one, and he doesn't score too many.
Yeah. Nico Holmes, most run meters. He had 2 try assists as well. 3 line breaks. Fuck.
That's line break assists. Nico's numbers: assists, 17 tackles, 3 tackle busts, 236 run meters, 430 kick meters. Pretty handy day at the office there for Nico Hines.
Just has to do it against the top 8 team.
and maybe against the Maroons. I think he's been hard done by, but he definitely hasn't done his chances for future selection any harm there. All right, that's the buys into the AFL. Nothing else to talk about.
You got a coach, bro, and you don't want to talk about it?
The Dragons have got Shane Flanagan. Shane Flanagan announced so a bit of redemption song for him, but look, he inherits a bit of a basket case. Let's be honest.
Well, he was an assistant under McGregor, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
He'd been at the club before.
I think as well. Knows the area. I don't even know.
He played for
he played for the Dragons, didn't he?
3 games.
Yeah.
But he was a St George Junior.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And 3 first grade games.
Yep.
What do you think? Well, you two are the fans. What do you think of their?
I don't hate it. I feel for him because I think there's going to be a lot of pressure. The fans haven't taken too well to the back end of Griffin, the back end of McGregor. Look, scapegoat's a bit of a strong word, but I think the problems are endemic with the club, less so the coach. And the big talking point out of today was that our best player, our only really elite level player in Ben Hunt.
Only one playing in Origin, so
that's right. Apparently wants out. He's asked for an immediate release. Club said no.
I think that's the interesting is it's immediate. He wanted out now instead of like, hey, I ended the season, like I want to go to a new club. But it's like, yeah, I'm done. I don't want to play again for the Dragons, which is quite an interesting point that we're at.
It's not good. Definitely not good. Josh Kerr also granted early release today. Slightly different circumstances in that he'd put pen to paper
for the Dolphins for next season.
The Dolphins, so they're going to allow that to go now. But fuck, this club, new coach, no Ben Hunt, presumably. It's hard to look forward to anything, I would think.
Yeah, well, if he leaves now, the guaranteed spoon. Like
a bit lucky with the Tigers' injuries. You never want to commemorate someone else getting hurt, but the fact that the Tigers are going to have to do the next couple of months without Luke Brooks and Happy Coruscant, it's going to be hard for them. Also, the Bulldogs look woeful today.
Yeah, but Dragons without Ben Hunt.
Yeah, I don't want to think about it.
Yeah. So I think it's like you said, it's probably massive news for the future of the club and what Ben Hunt wants to do. I said the joke to you, which I'd seen other people's joking about with, Broncos could do it if a hooker can't play hooker for them. I think by all accounts, it's Dolphins at 7 and Canterbury at 7 are probably the most likely. Whether that happens or not, who knows?
There's a lot that plays into it.
Yeah.
Like this Luke Brooks stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we start talking about the halfback dominoes. When
carousel there.
Yeah, exactly. So things start to move around.
The teams on the bye this week: Broncos, Dolphins, Rabbitohs, Raiders, Titans, Warriors. Big State of Origin on a Wednesday night. Hopefully we're talking about a decider and not a dead rubber. Come next podcast. Run us into some AFL.
Some AFL.
$11 in a row for Port Adelaide. A massive turnaround considering where they were last year and the way that they started. Geelong actually looked like the better team, I thought, throughout the first half, and then Port just kicked into gear and they kicked 11 goals to 4 in the second half. We spoke a bit about him last week in Zach Butters. This bloke's into $4 to win the Brownlow. if anything happens to the clear favourite in Nick Dacos, this guy's clear second at the moment. 23 disposals and a goal, maybe 2, maybe 3 votes in this one. He just looks like he's dangerous every time he's got the ball.
A young team on the block.
Well, everyone said Geelong too old last year and they won the whole thing. So, no, I wouldn't say.
I suppose, it just goes back to how Geelong started the season. So is it worrying that they're sort of slipping back into that form, or if this is just sort of like a blip in the road or
Port just too good?
I think just
Port,
Port,
that also.
I think Geelong good and Port gooder would be my analysis on that one. Yeah. They look red hot. Like they're legitimate flag threat. Threat.
Yeah.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Into the Lions beating the Swans. Now, the Lions did come away 16-point winners in this one. But a lot of chat throughout the week on, can you just drop yourself? And Dan Rich, Jack Gunston, you'd spoken specifically about Rich in episodes past. They said, no, we haven't been playing to the standard that we expect ourselves to play, and essentially sat themselves down to poor form. They are also some of the older blokes in the team, so they just need to be managed and have a week off.
Yeah, have they been reading in the newspapers, seeing all the socials, basically saying the exact same thing, that they're a bit off the pace at the moment and need to find a bit of form. Did they put their hands up themselves, or was there a slight nudge that maybe they this was going to happen, and to manage this nicely, considering Rich has been there for forever and is a bit of a fan favourite, but of course struggling at the moment. Hard to say, but it was good to see them in this. Should have probably blown this score out, kicking 19 behinds. But I guess on the other side of it, Buddy also was out. Knee soreness.
Yes.
Also in the same sort of boat.
Possibly managed as well.
Yes. Could have done as well. So, anyway, Cam Rayner's 100th took a hanger, kicked a goal. Jared scored 2 in this as well. They shared the goal scorers around. It was a pretty good goal.
Did you see the sling tackle from Jared Berry?
Cleared. He's all good. I already got the news. So I did, and it wasn't as bad as Sicily's one was the week before for McLuggage, but I thought maybe at most he'd get a week or maybe even a fine, just because the sling tackle has really been one of the biggest stories in this week and the last week. They're really trying to, I guess, stamp it out, try to push it out of the game, especially the ones that you sling around and you dong a dude's head on the ground. That's the main one, the main offending.
I didn't think there was too much in it personally. Something that I did think was a little bit untoward, if you wouldn't mind chasing out what happened to Sam Wicks. To me, that was high. It was late. It
and he was leading elbow.
It was unnecessary.
It was so bad. I don't think you can see anything being good about coming out of that situation. Especially having your arm up with the elbow basically being your leading point of attack. Yeah, it was a bad one. We've seen the vision, Jimmy. Do you have a Weeks?
He's chasing that one up. Just got some Oral-B ads coming through first. Reminded of the brush and floss.
See if he got suspended.
Oscar McInerney, while Monks chases that one up. The big O, he was pretty good. 46 hit-outs, 18 disposals and a goal. And Errol Goulden continues to shine, even in a losing effort there, 27 and 2.
Do I think the Lions, the top 4 side, are they in touching distance with Pies, Melbourne and Port? I'd say no.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think where their recent kind of games are. And I think they're tweaking with chemistry. Well, not the chemistry, but they're tweaking with the team at the moment, especially in that back line. I just don't think they're where they are now, currently the same level and form as the other 3. I think they're just a touch below.
I suppose it's a big question mark. Winning in Melbourne, that's going to be it moving forward. Monks, you got the Wicks outcome there?
Yes, 2 weeks is out for.
I think that's pretty fair and could have perhaps been 3.
Yep. GWS got a win.
And win big they do. 70 points.
Freo,
they're just a bit hot and cold.
Where do they play us?
Where do you think?
Not in Fremantle.
No, it was in front of 6,000 people at the Sydney Showground.
Yeah.
GWS, look, I don't know if they need an 18th team. They could probably just move them in terms of their turnouts. But it was a milestone game for Toby Green in that he kicked his 300th career goal. He booted 4. He was maybe the best on ground. Jake Riccardi's looking like a pretty good forward, moving forward, if you would. He booted 5. Josh Kelly, 33 and 3. Freo is rocks or diamonds, and they were absolute rocks in this one.
Yep.
Another milestone in Trent Cotchin. He played his 300th down there at the G. Reasonable turnout for this one. The Tigers getting the win, 90-70. Cotchin himself pretty good in this one. 29 disposals, 2 goals, 5 tackles. Timmy Torino, speaking about the Giants, they're missing a few of their old midfielders. Timmy had 38 disposals, 10 tackles, a goal in this one. Bit of old Dusty too, and Jack Sinclair for the Saints in a losing effort. I think there's no doubt he'll be an All-Australian backman. The Tigers haven't really been that bad under Andrew McQualter, and I was looking at the odds. Looks like he might get the long-term gig. I think he's the favourite.
Do you think maybe, the hangovers, a bit of age in the roster, maybe Dimmer there, kind of probably with the writing on the wall a little bit. The new energy, new head coach, maybe he's G them up a little bit.
Well, we know it's good for one. We know it's good for one win, don't we? That's science.
Yeah, so that's why I'm asking the question. Do you think maybe with that the new leadership, maybe new spring in the step has G'd the boys up a little bit more, and they've starting to hit their straps. So they've got the talent, and they've playing to that a little bit better.
I think they're a borderline top 8 side. We spoke about the big 4 in that you think Brisbane won't run with them, but in Port, Pies and D's, I'd be surprised if the Tigers can bother them come September.
I tend to agree, but I'm just saying, I think from where they were a month ago to where they are now, they seem more energised than they seem like
definitely big turnaround. And we spoke last week about the shit that with Pickett and poor Basher Hooley, ex Tiger, getting unfortunately caught up in that car accident. A horrible weekend for them off the field, but in the last 2 weeks they've beaten the Red Hot St Kilda and gone to Perth and beaten Freo in their fortress. So definitely not a bad football side and revamped bit of energy if you would, but for mine just long term.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to win that comp.
No, I don't think they're quite there.
they probably could be a finals team definitely, but I don't think they're winning the comp this year.
The next couple of weeks look good for them as well. They've got the bye next week, but then Brisbane will be a test, and then they've got the Swans, Eagles, Hawthorn, and then through to Melbourne towards the end of next month. So
they win 2 games there.
Yeah, okay, they'll win 2 games there.
Well, they could beat the Swans.
They could beat the Swans at home. Swans at home.
Melbourne's the challenging one.
Melbourne and Lions away.
Lions, true.
2 games, I think.
Gentlemen's 2 games.
Gentlemen's 2.
Anyway, Blues won, and then Norths lost to the Doggies.
Yeah. This suit is grey.
They finally won a game. One of your teams had to win.
They did. Carlton win. They finally worked out how to score some points.
Yeah,
which has been those 2
poles. You kick the ball through the middle.
You snap it straight through there. You don't drop punt it. You snap it straight through there. Big winners. Look, the first quarter pretty fucking ordinary, but after that, they looked like a reasonable football team.
Yep.
Booted 9.
Look like the list that they've got.
Yeah, look, nothing's wrong with that list, baby. It's about performing, and perform they did, especially in that second quarter. Kicked 9 goals to 1 or 2. Big story, I suppose, for them was David Cunningham coming back 700 plus days out through injury. Did his ACL, didn't play at all last year. Calf tear before that. He struggled with knees and shoulders and barely played at all, the poor bloke.
Jesus.
So good to see him back, got through the game unscathed by all reports. It was Harry Mackay's 100th. He booted 3. A little bit of confidence for him. Cripper looked like old Cripper.
I think the main thing is he didn't miss any. So.
Yeah, I think he kicked 3 goals straight.
Yes.
I think that's right. And Doherty, he's found his place out on the wing now. Former half back. fantasy king. He's doing it out on the wing now. He had 32 disposal, 9 marks. He gets plenty of it. As I mentioned, Cripper, I think he had 27 and 3. It's the same discussion as the Lions, isn't it?
Yep.
Lions in Brisbane, they're going to win. Carlton against a team that they should beat recently will beat them. Carlton against a top 4 team, top 6 team, they've shown they can't do it recently. So they go into a bye, tough game, etc. Blah blah blah, and then into the Hawks. Mm-hmm. So they should.
Yeah, they had Hawks and Eagles, didn't they? The next two?
I think in between. No, I think before they play the Eagles, I think they play some tough games. I think they're at Freo and have Port at home.
Jamie, you'll chase that up for us.
Yes.
Is that it?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
at Freo.
So Hawks. Let's assume they get that done. At Freo, Port at home. They have to win one of those. They have to. Mm. They have to. And
keep their chances alive.
And then the Eagles. So for Carlton to even think about playing finals football, it's 3 from the next 4. 3 wins in the upcoming
and that gives
month.
them a sniff, really.
And that gives them a sniff because they're still 6 points out of the 8.
Yeah.
Mm.
Having said that, there was...
Not winning the competition.
No, I don't. They're probably not winning the whole thing. Finals would be a good result. Maybe it's the opposite of 2022, where they were in the whole season and they dropped out of it. Maybe they'll be out of it the whole season.
Sneak in right at the end.
Sneak in. This team on paper, it's too good to not be there or thereabouts. They showed glimpses of it today. A lot of it is going to be putting that together against a good side and kicking straight against a good side. Yeah, so they showed that they are able to do that. I don't know if it's the moment that's getting to them, with 85,000 in there at the G last weekend, there was probably 20,000 dripping wet in the MCG today, or it looked like it at least.
Yeah, it was pretty dire scenes.
I don't know what it is with them. I don't think anyone knows. I think, like I said last week, all this speculation around Voss and his job, I don't think that's a solution. It's just clickbait, I think.
Yeah. I saw the numbers. You've had 9 coaches in 20 years. So, make it 10 and 21.
And Teague probably went a year longer than possibly warranted.
Yeah. So give him some time.
That's right. Give him some time. Bit of confidence for the boys. They go into a long fortnight now. I hope they have fucking few beers this afternoon. Get around each other. Bond if you would.
A few Dutch rudders. Exactly.
Yeah. few Tom de Koning rudders. So sure. and prepare for Hawthorn because you can't assume either, but they need to go out and beat Hawthorn.
They don't want to do what the Lions did a couple of weeks ago.
Indeed. Dogs get a win against North today. Again, this is much like that Sharks Dogs game in the league. I haven't seen any of this, so let's have a look at the numbers. Was that Marcus Bontempelli having a good game that I could see?
6 goals.
What are you sorted by? Cody Waitman, 6 goals. 6 goals for young Cody. And the Bont, he had 32 posies, 3 goals. Trelaw, 34 and 1.
The Sneasel.
The Cheezel, he continues to impress. He's a shout for Rising Star, although there's a few names.
What do you think about? Ashcroft, I think Tim English was in the news this week with potential contract offers himself.
Look how good the bloke is. He had 24 disposals. He's a ruckman. 24 kicked a goal. He had 10 marks. 32 hit-outs. Fuck, he's a good player.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever money gets thrown his way, the way that he's playing, he deserves it at the moment. Mm-hmm. Rolls into a ladder. So, Port sit on top, 12 wins, 48 points. Collingwood, 44 points. So then a reasonable gap between Melbourne and Brisbane, both on 36. St Kilda, Essendon, Western Bulldogs, 32. Adelaide, 28. Richmond, 26. This is tight through here. Tight like a tiger. Tight like a Richmond tiger. Geelong 24, GWS 24, Gold Coast 24, Fremantle 24, Carlton 22, Sydney dropping in at 20.
They're struggling.
And then lines through Hawthorn, North Melbourne, West Coast 16-8-4.
They're cooked. Swans are big.
Swannies,
dire. Not too
dire from GF to 15th. Mm-hmm. Bit worrying there. Any big games coming up next week? Let's have a look. Geelong, Melbourne, Thursday night, if you don't mind. Secure to Brisbane. So Thursday, Friday, pretty big. Swans should beat the Eagles. Free at home to the Bombers. Pies, Crows, Suns, Hawks. Cop that on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Suns and Hawks, yeah. That'll roll us into
What's next?
NBA.
NBA?
NBA, I think.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Curry sets, fires, puts it up. Bang!
Nugs
win. 4-1.
4-1. Very dominant.
Yeah, just so dominant.
Nikola Jokic. Whew, he's a good basketball player. Supporting cast, Jamal Murray, the other boys,
Was very good.
did a good job of it. Joker MVP finals.
Finals MVP. Yep.
Did he deserve the season MVP? I think we've spoken about it in previous episodes. It
Hindsight, though.
was funny seeing the post game. He's like, "Yes, cool. We can go home." Something along those lines.
Well, he's there. Job done.
Yeah.
So now I can go home. I think he had horse races on the weekend, but
That was the story.
But it
Yeah.
seems like he stayed in America because he was at Las Vegas over the weekend. So
And he looked to have
Yeah.
loosened up a little bit.
yeah,
by then.
yeah.
Yeah, so
I think I said
post game presser, he was like, I wanted to go home. And then they said the parade's on Thursday. And he was like, but I'm going home. I'm like, no, you got to stay. But yeah, you're right. It looks like he sort of turned around and enjoyed the atmosphere.
Yeah, maybe he enjoyed the moment more for what it was, and as it kind of sunk in a bit more.
Yeah.
Because I think I said that last podcast. Knowing Joker, I think I was saying is like, would it be a subdued celebration? I mean, he kind of got a little bit of both. But yeah, it was fantastic. The stories about him losing his trophy, some of the memes of him with the champagne, giving it to like shakes, and then like bugger all comes out, and then there's been great scenes from this. We talked pre-potty about Aaron Gordon running home with the fans, and then of course the parade was elite viewing as well. So
What was the question with Aaron Gordon about has it hit home that he's an NBA champion? Something like
yes, they asked him at the parade, has it hit home about winning the championship? And I think he responded with the only thing hitting him is those Mondelos. So
They looked like they were hitting him at that time.
yeah. The quote from Jokey, that I told that I don't want to stay on parade, but I fucking want to stay on parade. This is the best. So he obviously enjoyed it. There's jokes about there's not enough Nuggets fans. They didn't turn out, but they had I think 100,000 show up there in the middle of Denver to support the fans. I think the most drunk person was actually Coach.
Really?
Yeah.
Maloney was getting stuck into it. I think he threw a few shots at the Lakers as well in his not press conference, but in his statements on the mic. So yeah, again they celebrated. They won hard. Now the challenge, the first championship, of course, for the Nuggets in Denver. I think it's the first time in the finals and their first win, of course. But they partied hard, and we'll see how it goes. Did that say 47 years they've been in the comp?
Yep. So it was their inaugural.
Yeah.
So 47 years they've been in the NBA, which is cool. First time winner. You love to see it. There he is, Michael Malone, out on the
Missing beers.
yeah. They're throwing beers at him. Hey, he's got one. Asking for one more. Nugs up.
He definitely was enjoying himself on
Good man.
parade. So
Good
yeah.
on him.
As you should.
Up and about. Let's go. Had a good time there, Michael Malone.
So I think the only other thing we had to mention there is the MVP trophy seems to have gone missing.
Yeah, okay.
So Jokey said he left it in the equipment room and it's not there anymore. So he doesn't know where it is.
Someone's got it.
Yeah, so either someone's nicked it or it's somewhere
Cash
else.
converters.
Yeah. Is it real gold, bro? But yes, Nugs win. Nugs win Ben.
So can we officially say that they're good? Because
Yeah, we said, they don't play. They're Joker dependent.
so many people,
Yeah.
like even now that they've won, people are like, I don't know.
Yeah, look at their run. They defeated 2 8 seeds and won 4. And I was like, well, those 8 seeds also play really good basketball and knocked off 1 and 2 seeds to get to that point. So, you beat the guys they put in front of you, and
they're NBA champs.
they played really well throughout the whole time. They swept the Lakers and only dropped 1 game to Miami. And maybe not at their best. Jimmy Butler was, didn't play his best games, but probably credit the Nuggets for being able to take their best player out of the game and then, stifle any of their options, any of their outside shooters from being able to get them into the game. And they did what they needed to do, the Nuggets. Good team ball.
Yeah.
Led by Joker. It's probably sum right up.
Ja Morant's sentence, if you will, has come through. 25 games. You thought it was maybe light?
No. I think it's probably. What did I say last? I think the room was like 50.
Yeah.
But I think that was more jokes than anything. 25 was probably sounds about fair. The thing that Ja Morant did a video, I think a day or two after he got busted for a second time with the said gun, which is actually a lighter gun. He was lighting candles with it. Mm-hmm. So, whether that was...
Not a good look.
Yeah, whether that was the truth, it was like, it was actually a lighter that's in the shape of a gun, maybe. But either way, they come down hard on him, and hopefully he will learn his lesson, having to miss, what's that, a quarter of a season?
Yeah, just over.
Yeah.
Look, I think 25 games is a lot of games. But the bloke's got priors. Obviously, Adam Silver was appalled the first time that it happened. And it's been known to have some, throw out some hefty penalties. Look, the Grizz didn't do that bad when Ja was missing. I think they're still a playoffs team next season. But for mine, he's one of the most talented sports people. Forget basketball.
Yeah, it's
one of the most talented athletes in the world. Hopefully, some good people get in his ear and get this out of his personality.
Yep, agree.
Big story.
And the
Charlotte.
Charlotte. Yeah, Charlotte. Owned by Michael Jordan, which was what makes it a big story, has been the owner for 13 years, is now selling his majority stake in the team for a cool $3 billion USD. I think reports it was 275 mil that he initially bought the team, so a good 10x on his investment there.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan making money.
He does that.
Yeah, does well. Unfortunately, he just couldn't put together a winning basketball team there in Charlotte. So his time at the helm essentially ended up with nothing. So not a great result at all for him. But his pockets will be fat. We'll see what else he decides to do. I think he still owns his NASCAR team and a bunch of other bits and pieces. So.
Were you saying that under his ownership, the Hornets haven't made the playoffs?
I think that was the stat. I could be wrong.
It's close. They made it in 15-16 and 13-14.
They did lose in the first round, though. They got knocked out straight away. So maybe they didn't progress.
They
progress in the finals.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wild, huh?
Not a great time, unfortunately, for them. And Walker was the biggest name pick for them, and then of course they've had Ball recently. No real success in that time frame of ownership. And it's a pretty short time for ownership, actually. Most guys hold on to their clubs for a significant time period, but Jordan's obviously got better things to do.
13 years is a while.
It
$3 billion is a lot of money.
Yeah,
also true. But some owners, it'll be decades, 2 or 3 decades of ownership.
You send 1% to sponsor an up-and-coming podcast, I heard.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. One of the buyers is a minority owner of the Atlanta Hawks as well. So, assuming he has to probably have to sell that.
That's an interest there, you'd think.
Yeah.
That'll roll us into
some NFL chat.
Yeah, which we haven't spoken about for ages. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, he broke his ankles.
Yeah, and mandatory mini camps, I think, is where we're at the moment. We'll get training camps in a couple of weeks. I don't think they've announced Hard Knocks yet because they can't. Josh Allen's going to be Madden cover to sum up some of the small stories. But I think
It's going to be a Netflix show, did you say?
Yes, the quarterback show with
Mahomes, Cousins, Mariota.
Mariota, yep. Mariota will probably be an interesting one considering he bailed on the team mid-season. That'll be interesting, of course, following on with all the other sports kind of doing their behind the scenes and making getting heaps of viewership, and the NFL already has heaps of viewership.
It makes so much sense.
Yeah, it does.
Like,
You see the growth of F1 and then full swing.
Just get people interested and involved.
Yeah, exactly. But the big kind of talking points is to do with the running backs, and it kind of kicked off with Dalvin Cook last week getting cut after he couldn't get a long-term deal with the Vikings, which means Madison, I think, will be their number one.
Yeah.
He's looking for a big contract with his next team. Not signed as of now, 2 weeks later. I think he's asking over 10 mil a year, and I think the offers have been around the 5 mil mark. It's interesting.
That's no money for a guy of his talent.
Yeah, well, it's because the I think, James, you can fact check this for me. The franchise tag for running backs is 10 mil or around about there. Because they're talking to Saquon Barkley about his contract, and he's thinking about holding out. And he kind of thinks it was, I don't think he used the words antitrust, but he was using, it was interesting that him, Josh Jacobs, who was one of the, and Tony Pollard was the third one, and all three of them were very high in the rush yards market last year. So as the top probably 3 free agents at the moment, all getting tagged, are they driving our prices down? Are they driving our value down? Josh Jacobs hasn't signed his franchise tag, so he's not currently with the club. But besides that, the running back market's dead. Elliott, Zeke, I'm talking about, Kareem Hunt, Fournette, among others, also still available without teams. Rumours of Jonathan Taylor wanting a deal as well. But, absolutely no movement on running backs so far in the NFL.
Yeah, franchise tag for running backs is 10 mil.
Yeah.
10.1.
And I think they all want more than that. And, they want a 5-year, 50 mil playing running back in the NFL compared to what some of the other positions are getting. It just seems so low. But it is, I think, if you look across the league, nearly every team is a 2-back system.
I think that's it. The game's the game's been changing for years now, but it's really sort of gone to that.
Yeah, the bell cow
running
is
that
officially
dead. Committee sort of thing.
Oh, Usman. Oh.
Uzi goes for 141. Good knock.
Yeah, it's a good knock.
We trail by 21.
He did come down the pitch on this one and maybe trying to pick up the pace a little bit and hit Robinson somewhere, but he's yorked himself essentially and
good knock.
Knocked off the. Yeah, it's a good knock, but unfortunate.
Probably saved our innings.
Yeah, he definitely. But yeah, he's yorked himself.
Yeah, he did york himself.
Yeah, there goes his off stop. All right, well. We're 20 behind, so hopefully...
Gaz.
Gaz. Hazelwood or Gaz come out next?
It should be Gaz, I would think.
Hopefully they tie us up, and we're basically a drawn test match at the moment.
Cricket to NFL, we love doing that on this podcast.
Sorry, big wicket.
My question is, why are running backs so undervalued financially these days?
I think it's because they're treated... like a meat grinder, essentially. Come in, play 3 to 4 years, out you go. Like your rookie deal is it, and then we replace you with another rookie with fresh legs. That's kind of what it seems to be. Because you look at the elite talent that's now available on the market and no one can get a deal, kind of speaks to that. The position's just gone so far devalued at this point. And we said it, they like having 2, the second fiddle guys, and you see some of the teams that drafted running backs when they already had running backs. It's a stable kind of thing. You need a lot of them.
I get that. What other position most people have 2 elite guys? Receiver?
Yeah. There you need like 3 minimum now. Yeah. And you'd like to have 4 kind of thing. It's like, yeah.
That's it.
And it's strange.
To that, you look at McCaffrey, who can play pretty much anywhere on the field, it's hard to find a running back. Well, yeah, hard to find a running back, but you want a running back that can kind of play multiple roles.
Yeah, does it all. That's kind of just same team. Talk about what Debo does for them. But yeah, can you find, Jimmy, for me, who's the most high paid running back at the moment?
Is it McCaffrey?
I feel like potentially, but I don't know what his recent deal looks like. Going over to the Niners. What do you got there, Jimmy? Does it say?
I think it is McCaffrey. Maybe then Kamara.
What's he getting average a year?
Just trying to figure out how this is sorted.
We're going to do quick math. 16 a year. 16 a year, 15 for Kamara, 12.5 for Henry Chubb, 12 for Mixon, 11.5 for Jones, 10 for Tony Pollard, which is wild. Josh Jacobs 10, Saquon 10.
I think that's your
Pollard,
franchise tag.
He signed his franchise tag, for Pollard.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and of course, they got rid of Zeke, so he's their one guy at the moment.
So the elites are between 10 and 16.
Yeah. And you think Dalvin, with his recent form, would be right up there. I think he's had back-to-back 1,500-year seasons. So, yeah. It's just an interesting kind of spot where the market is. A lot of the other positions, have been picked dry by this point in free agency, but for running backs, there's been nothing. It's been so quiet.
Still a lot of fucking money.
It is, but you compare it to some of the other positions.
Comparatively, yes.
Yeah, comparatively in the NFL, it's a little bit under. And it seems like they're trying to drive the prices down. I think it's the other thing. That Kamara and McCaffrey deal might be the last we see of that kind of numbers, unless there's some unworldly talent that comes in that you need to have.
Well, I mean, you look at Kamara and what he's done on that contract, probably goes to show that it's
missed a whole bunch of games.
Yeah, it's hard to put a good price on a running back.
I think McCaffrey missed a year too. So
yeah,
that is the caveat. You're paying big money for them to sit on the sidelines. It's a risk. Derrick Henry, think of the same thing.
True that.
It's a tough position. Don't envy them at all, unfortunately.
No. And yeah, I suppose even to that, like going the other way, you see like Le'Veon Bell.
Well, he's a classic.
Yeah.
Should have signed the deal. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, I think Austin Eckler wants a new deal as well. Can't get it.
He deserves a bit of cash, you'd think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he needs to be paid as a receiver.
Shauno, you got a rumour here.
Rumours. Yeah.
Run us through it. I'm going to go for a quick leak.
Yes. It is a big rumour. It's only been reported, with all the recent guys getting suspended through gambling, NFL players getting suspended for gambling on related games. There was reports that came out that there's been a star player. There's a further rumour of that. The first rumour was he'd lost 18 mil gambling on not NFL games, but gambling in general with all the new allowances for NFL players and gambling on various sports within America. He'd lost 8 mil. Rumours are it was a star player. They haven't officially announced who yet, but it sounds like that story might be broken in the not too distant future. But it's a big number, 8 mil. But if you let's say it's Aaron Rodgers and you're getting paid 40 a year, it's less than a quarter of your wage.
Probably,
so
change for a few of these players.
And I think I made the joke before that if we go back to Jordan, I'm pretty sure Michael Jordan had made bets in the similar sort of vein of big numbers. So, I think it's more an interesting story as NFL players kind of get into the gambling scene and where they go to from here.
Yeah, that's it.
But it's because the players attract so heavily on what they are gambling on. As the gambling agencies are disclosing all this information to the NFL. The NFL have this and they know about it, and that's how this is kind of leaked out. Someone's leaked it and gone, hey, this dude spent fuckloads more than everyone else gambling on stuff last year. So maybe he's one of Drake's mates and he's doing some Drake type bets on things.
That's it. Obviously with a lot of the gambling becoming more prevalent, a lot of states sort of opening up to it, you're going to get a lot of this happening, especially as policies are written up and like players just not knowing what they can and can't do. I suppose within the organisation versus just generally what you want to do. But just guess it goes to show how much money some of these players get and what they're doing with it.
I'd like to be able to gamble $8 million.
Would be nice.
All right.
Lose it very quickly though.
Yeah, definitely. Do you want to give us a suey?
Yeah, we can do that.
might save Man City until hopefully we'll be back. But Argentina took on Australia in China, as we mentioned last week. What was the final score on this game?
Friendly match. I think it was
2-0?
only 2-0. Yep.
Yeah, the big thing was Messi scored in the second minute. So I think it was 1 minute and 20 seconds he got his goal, which was interesting because that meant he'd scored in every minute of a game but the first. So within the first minute. So for Messi, for how many goals he scored, he hasn't scored one within the first minute of a game, which I guess is a hard thing to do. But this meant he'd cleared the second minute hurdle, and they looked pretty dominant. Did easy, maybe took the foot off the pedal from the highlights I saw of this one from Argentina taking on Australia in this friendly.
I did see one of the most clickbaity headlines I've ever seen in that Lionel Messi scores fastest goal ever as Argentina defeats Australia.
Yeah.
So factually true, I suppose. He scored his fastest goal.
Yes.
Ever.
Yeah.
Maybe they should have had that his in there. Highly misleading. I think the fastest goal ever in international soccer is like 7 seconds or something.
Yes, yeah, kicked from halfway.
Yes, but clickbait. That's where we're at, isn't it? I still clicked on it.
Media.
Yeah.
What a moron.
Man City, Pepe.
Yeah, nothing's really changed in the last week.
They've just been doing their parade.
They've been doing their parade, and
Having lots of fun.
Jack Grealish presses send. Laptop button. Full send. I think I sent you boys the hangover themed video of let's have a few drinks and then boom, you're getting wheelchaired out of a hotel. Look, it's nice to see a bloke.
They probably needed a wheelchair for him, letting him stumble around a little bit getting off the plane.
Mate, those calves.
Yeah.
Those calves. They're too
Only
big.
thing holding him up.
Getting a workout.
They're good-looking calves. If you type in Jack Grealish into Google, comes up Jack Grealish, then the options are Jack Grealish calves, Jack Grealish girlfriend, Jack Grealish haircut, Jack Grealish wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor wife.
Yeah.
Below the calves and the girlfriend. Anyway, some scenes. The bloke had a good time, shirt off, top of the party bus. Plenty of lagers had, and the City boys partied well this week.
Yeah, celebrated hard. Yeah, there's lots of parades through the cities this week for winning.
Man City racked up a £47,000 drinks bill.
What you got to drink to have that? Like,
top of the line vodka.
It's
all
all,
that. So.
but that's a bottle of Grey Goose. Like, that's a good
true.
bottle of vodka. Don't get me wrong,
true.
but that's what a couple of £100. Like, that's a share. That's the whole club, wherever they are. Yeah. There's a lot of stories around when the Cavs won it, I think, and LeBron and shouting of the
whole club.
clubs.
Yep.
Delhi drinking the Coronas. And that was that year.
That's it.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, final round. I think was we're up to.
Let's run it.
Let's run final round.
We're going to start in the UFC fight night. We'll just talk about the big one, the middleweight fight between Marvin Vettori and Jared Cannonier. Vettori got off to a good start. He did tag the Killer Gorilla, but then it was pretty much one-way traffic after the first round. Yeah. What was it? Most significant strikes ever in the middleweight division, 249. He did. I think he got the record like early in the fourth round.
Yeah. Yes. I think the previous record was around 190, maybe it was 187. I can't remember exactly on the graphic. But yeah, absolute mauling. Credit to Vettori to staying in this and getting to the end bell, essentially.
Mate, the toughness, the chin on the bloke.
Yeah, I never knew Italians were that tough. So
not all of them, that's for sure. Definitely not the half ones that don't speak the language, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Monkey.
Yeah, that was a direct shot at you, Pep, so yes. You picked it up while I'm putting it down. As Nathan Lyon gets out, unfortunately. Draining one there. But yeah, it was, the scorecards having Killer Gorilla winning four of the rounds, the back four. One judge did give another round to Vettori, which I think was probably very misleading in this one.
That was Mariah Erasmus.
Yes.
I think he's, what did you call it when you do a night job? Gaslighting.
Gaslighting, you know
No,
what I mean?
gaslighting. Moonlighting.
Moonlighting, yeah.
Moonlighting,
Moonlighting as a judge in this one. But it's, the right person won this fight in the end. So it doesn't matter. Cannonier does say he wants to still compete for that belt. He'd probably move up to 3. Whitaker's 1. Not sure who 2 is at the moment. And he was asked post-fight about Hamzat. Everyone gets asked about Hamzat. And he says he's not ranked, is he? Because he's not in middleweight.
No.
But if anything gets him closer to the title, he's happy to take that fight. So, that'd be interesting. You've got him there aged at 390, I'm pretty sure.
He's looking pretty good for 390.
I think that's meant to be 39.
I think there's a zero that shouldn't be there.
Zero there.
Yeah, so... Oh, no, Alex Pereira. Sorry, I should forget. So Alex is 1 and Roberts 2. Cannonier will go to 3. So Whitaker, of course, has got Duplessis. That's not Faf in a couple of weeks.
Chat.
And that's, basically where the middleweight division is.
Now, there's a few fight nights before that UFC 290, so
we've got another 3 weeks away.
Yeah, so at start of July is the 290, so we'll preview that in probably 2 shows' time.
Yep. And just track whatever else is happening in the UFC. Boxing land.
Big day for boxing for Aussies.
For Aussies, yeah.
Yeah, Tsyzu gets a big statement knockout as well, knocking out his opponent in the first round.
Yeah.
How do you say his
Only a
opponent's
minute 17 seconds.
Carlos Ocampo.
Right hook sat him down. He got back up, left jab to finish him. I think it was like a left jab, kind of uppercut. Really put him against the ropes, knocked him out, lights out, completely cold. That, of course, means he retains his interim belt, and he's, of course, been pushing for that Charlo fight for forever.
Fake belt name, just quietly.
Yeah. Yes.
WBO interim junior middleweight.
Yes.
Boxing needs to sort its shit out.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the main 4 belts, and I think Charlo's got 3 of them in his division. But
that's annoying.
But the reports during the week was Canelo was chasing a fight with him or Jack. So I think Sue might have to weigh his chances if Canelo enters the chat. But Tsyzu's done nothing wrong here, and really pushing his cards to push it forward, because the only other person who had beat Compo before by stopping him had been that man Charlo as well. So I think that's a big fight on the cards in the not too distant future. We'll see if Canelo plays a bit of a speed bump to it, unfortunately.
So Charlo at the moment has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 major organisations rank him as a number 1. That doesn't mean that's not belts.
Yeah, but those 4,
they're all belts. And then that's
so he's got
magazine rankings.
Yeah, and that's got him with 2 interims at the moment against him.
Sue's got
Mendoza. 1. Yeah, he's got 1 interim against him.
So he's pretty handy.
Yes, he is. It's probably why he's picking his fights at the moment.
The Iron Man, 33-year-old out of Louisiana. His record, 35-1-1.
1 draw, but he defended that draw. Was he lost to Tony Harrison? 5 years ago at this point. So hasn't fought lots recently, though. Hasn't fought in the last year, at least.
What do you think's going to happen there? Charlo's going to get Canelo, and then Sue will have to fight someone else?
Hard to say. It's kind of, I guess it is a kind of up in the air at the moment, depending on what Charlo wants to what Canelo wants to do. Because I think he's bound for bout number 1. I don't see anyone else who would be over him at the moment. So, he's the draw. He's the dude in boxing at the moment. So, I think he could pick who he wants, and he'll get what he wants.
How many belts does he have at the moment? Because
all of them. Yeah, he's got the 4.
And he lost when he went up.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
To Dimitri Bivol?
Yes, because he was going up for another belt.
Okay.
So he's got
so
all
super middleweight, he's got them all.
Yes.
It'll be interesting to see. Jones and Garner?
Yeah, that was at PFL event as well.
Yep.
Which is what Nagano is now, I guess, part owner of, etc. So, they had a nice kind of friendly face-off. Dana White's probably pulling his hair out because both of them were wearing PFL gear.
Pulling or pulled his hair out?
Yeah, true. He's bald now.
Thought that was worth more.
Yeah. So, they continue their ongoing, semi-beef. Tyson Fury. There's actually some talks about a hybrid type fight with him and Jones that's Dana White's trying to put together. So whether that ever eventuates, which I doubt.
Sounds like it's getting more and more noise, but
it is. It seems to be getting closer, but
But also Fury's also chasing down Ngannou as well. So
until pen to paper, I don't believe it.
Yeah. That's it. So just talk.
Yeah, and
That's Scotty Bow.
out for a duck. All right, so we trail by 15. That's not too bad. I think that's pretty close.
Still got one, don't we?
No, that's it.
Hazelwood.
Oh, you are right. Yes, Hazelwood. Sorry. One to go.
So probably like lead by 150.
yeah. Hazelwood's going to hit a ton here.
Just see out the day.
Something tells me, and we trail by 15 is about to be happening.
Yeah, it's interesting. They've definitely targeted the tail end with the short stuff.
Yeah, short stuff.
So there is a little bit of bounce in there. So maybe something for the Aussies to think about when they bowl here. Probably after lunch, they'll probably take, if they get us all out here shortly. I think that's 2 hours, for a session.
Yep. Yeah, it's about to be lunch.
Yep. Golf?
Yeah, US Open. They're at Los Angeles.
The big story, Monahan, illness, needed to take time off. I don't want to face all that fucking media.
How convenient. How convenient.
Yeah,
His back is sore from pushing around that wheelbarrow full of Saudi cash.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Yes. That was the big story. But how's the golf going?
The golf's going good. Ricky Fowler, who has really been in golf wilderness for quite some time. Do you know the bloke, I forget the year, but he did finish a calendar year with all four majors, finishing in the top five without winning one.
Wow.
He was the next big thing in golf. Wears the orange. People love him. He's rather a good-looking young rooster, and he went out and played extremely good golf. He goes into the Sunday tied first with Wyndham Clark at 10 under. McIlroy
is not far behind.
Just
one.
He's got a sniff. Scotty Sheff 7 under. Harris English 6 under. That's probably it. Maybe DJ or Sheffield, who really shut the bed on Saturday.
Cam Smith
goes back to it. Yeah,
neg one. He'd be.
It would. Yeah, Bryson, Cam Smith at 3 under.
Yeah, where's Brooks after being the favourite?
He had an almighty bed shitting, I believe.
Even.
I think it was the day before. Anyways, that's how it stands. One of the big stories going around the internet today was Paige Spiranek of good-looking.
Yes, she said this years ago, though. By the way,
it was, and I think it was said in jest.
Yes, of course it was said in jest.
And I don't know if
but we'll hold her to it.
That's right. She did say that there would be a
reveal. Yes.
Yes. If and it's a big if Ricky Fowler ever won a major. So he's hoping.
Only a couple. What have they got left?
One round. One round to go.
He's in there with a sniff.
So it'll be first time winners in Clark or Fowler up against repeat efforts from McIlroy or Scheffler. Look, the rhetoric in golf for years and years and years would be, when would Rory win another one? He's poised to do so. The viewing time turns out to be excellent for us here on the east coast of Australia, given it's west coast America.
Yep.
Yeah, when are those final tee times? So 2:30 is Fowler and Clark tomorrow in LA. My maths is any good, and it's not. Turns out to be good viewing time if you're not stuck at work on a Monday.
Yes.
Yeah.
McElroy, Scheffler, English, Johnson, Shefeli, Nagano, Kim, DeChambeau, Smith, Matsuyama, Wu Lee, Hovland. That's the last hour of golf tomorrow.
Very tasty.
You seen the rough there? I think we alluded to it last podcast. You drop it's like ball gone. So it's fairway or good luck. Bring a shovel.
Have you seen some of the responses to that?
There's been some great shots out of it.
Oh, I mean, like, there's been heaps of people going down to their local and they have the 6-foot weeds and they're dropping the ball in the rough. It's just like, that's easy to play on. They're going to play with us.
I have seen them in that.
Yes. Alrighty, I think we'll finish with some F1.
You want to do the sound?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We got sounds.
It's good.
Sebastian Vettel.
Yes, and we're in Canada for the GP, which will be tomorrow morning, which isn't great viewing time for us, unfortunately.
No, early.
No.
Yeah, it'll be a 4:00 a.m. race, I believe. It has been pretty wet and wild, which has been good for Canada, of course, with their wildfires recently to get a bit of the wet stuff. But it made the racing very interesting, especially qualifying with, going from inters to wet tyres and back and forth, the drying up, etc. Max Verstappen did Max Verstappen's things and finished first. But interesting, Hulkenberg managed to sneak in for second before the red flag was put out for Oscar, our boy, Pastari, going into the wall. But Hulk then got a 3-place grid penalty. So he will start fifth. Alonso second. The Mercedes and Hamilton and Russell will be third and fourth. Oscar, as mentioned before, will be eighth. And then the Ferraris are in 10th and 11th. They're a bit off the pace. I think Checo's even further down. I didn't manage to check where that went. As Cummins
he's starting 12th.
Damn it, Cummins is out. Cummins just hit a 6-4. We now trail by 7 officially out. 386.
Close game.
Yes, it's all to play for. I think it'll be lunchtime, and then the Aussies will be bowling. So, yes. That's that race. Any other news, Jimmy, on your end?
No, not really. I think just going back to Ferrari real quick, they seem to just not have their strategies.
Mercedes are looking good, though. But
yes.
Still early season, but I don't like their chances of competing against Red Bull currently.
No. I think it's too late in the season to make any sort of run of it. And Ferrari just seem to be in all sorts at the moment. Their strategies, the way that they're calling for tyres and all that sort of stuff's just all over the shop. We'll see what happens with them.
I guess Hamilton's still there within a sniff, but Max has basically got a 100-point lead at this point. So on some of those guys, his teammate's probably the only close one, and he's still 60 behind. So long season.
Yeah, I mean that's actually an interesting storyline as well. Perez has not been doing too well of late. Obviously, with our boy Danny Rick sitting there behind,
sitting over his shoulder.
Yep, waiting in the wings.
Him and Vettel were driving old Red Bulls at the Nürburgring this week. So,
and I think he is testing for AlphaTauri. So obviously.
Partnership.
Yeah, Nick De Vries also not performing as well as he could be. So potentially seeing Danny Rick back on the starting grid.
Be very, very interesting. But there's
interesting.
Did you get an answer for me? Where's Checo starting?
He's 15th? Starting. 12th.
12th. Okay.
Yeah.
Behind the Red Bulls. Behind the Ferrari. Sorry. Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Casual here, boys. Is this Nico Hulkenberg any chance here, given the good starting position?
No, I think he goes backwards pretty quickly. I think he got a lap in where, just snuck it in qualifying to get a good starting spot. But largely they're finishing in the back of the grid. And the Haas's, where's Kevin? Kevin's been just as bad. So, I don't like their chances. This one. If he can hold
with rain, could make for an interesting race.
It is meant to be wet.
I think at one point Alex Albon was leading Q1, Q3, sorry, because he went out on slicks while everyone else was out on inters before it started raining. So,
if Hulk can hold on to a top 10, I think that'll be a good result for them. But we will wake up and find out in the morning.
That's it.
And Australia will get England out for 100 by that point, so it'll be all good.
That'll do us here on the Esky. Thank you to those that have tuned in, whether you've watched live or during the week. Hopefully you're travelling well. Next week we'll be talking State of Origin Game 2. Hopefully talking about an effort from New South Wales game going to the decider, etc., etc. What else have we got? UFC 290 is not far away. We've got Ashes cricket. It all happens pretty quick. And plus the regular dribble and nonsense that you will hear from us three boys here. Thank you to those that have tuned in. We'll catch you next time. And until then, take it easy. Enjoy the sport. Drink responsibly, etc. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.